Nature or the wilderness, it meets you exactly where you are. There's no judgment. It's not like you have to go into a gym or Pilates class or anything like that. The only person who's judging you are leaves and trees and, I don't know, chipmunks or whatever. There's nothing. It's just yourself, and you can actually be yourself, which I think is really healthy for people to do, because for years a lot of us are trying to be someone for everybody else.
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. Joining us today is an Australian hiker, writer, and educator who helps women rebuild confidence through practical adventure and responsible travel. She has completed solo hikes from Australia's Red Centre to crossing Greenland's Arctic Circle, experiences that shape her belief that confidence grows through action, not theory. And through her platforms, Soul Trader and the House Sitting Collective, she teaches how structure, trust, and responsibility create genuine freedom and stability in life. So, guys, help me in welcoming our very special guest today, the adventurer, the one and only Belinda Hooker. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Joanne. What a lovely welcome.
You deserve it. Let's start with your story. After years of building businesses and raising family, what was there like a moment or a turning point, aha moment that made you realize that this is not the life that you want to live for the rest of your life, or you realize that you needed space, adventure, and a new chapter for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can actually remember that day as well. It was back in the year 2000. So I was midlife, and I kind of looked in the mirror one day and I thought, my God, is this all there is? I really was feeling, I was very burnt out. I was burnt out. I was stressed. I had, I was overweight. I wasn't fit. I really wasn't in a good space. And like many people who are experiencing middle age, I actually call it middle essence, very similar to adolescence, like we're going through a huge hormonal change in our body. And so there's hormonal changes, there's emotional changes, and then there's body changes, and transitional identity transitional changes as well. And so you kind of have all the same things as, what the adolescents have. And everyone goes, oh, poor 13, 14 year olds, they're having adolescence. But when you're actually middle age, that all those feelings are compounded with, with a lot of baggage that people have accumulated, up until midlife, up until their middle age. For example, they might be caring for aging parents, they might have wayward children, they might have, divorces, or all sorts of things which may have impacted them throughout their life. And for a lot of people as well, there's a lot of, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and by that, I should have, I could have, I would have, and so this age is a lot of people are just like, one, is this all there is? And two, you know my life is ending soon. And I looked at that, down, my life is ending soon, and I thought, I don't want to continue on this path where I am right now. I want to be happy. This is what I said. I want to be happy. So that transition, from that person that was standing in front of the mirror, and it can be a figurative or literal mirror, but I was having a good hard long look at myself, to where I am now, was a very gradual change, because the first thing I did was, decided to find something that I used to find a lot of joy in, and that was hiking. So I was born in New Zealand, And New Zealand is fantastic for hiking. You know, it's beautiful. It's got mountains, it's rivers, and it's got basically everything a
and
hike.
nothing else.
Yeah, it's a hiker's Shangri-La, right? And but I hadn't hiked for probably 35 years at that point. It really had been a long time since I put on a pair of hiking boots, and so I thought, right, okay, I'm going to start doing that again. So I went out, bought a pair of hiking boots, and joined a meetup group. And we went on, it wasn't a very long hike. It was probably about 17 kilometers, 13 miles. But everyone else in the hiking group was in their 70s or 80s. And here I was mid 50 and I was struggling to keep up with them. And they were fit, they were healthy, and they were glowing. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I want. I want that.
Mm.
And I looked at, I kind of thought, well, I probably have about 25 more years of being active. I kind of put I say until I'm 80, I want to be as active as I am now. I just need to try and do the best that I can to sort of keep that goal in mind. I could go longer. I see other 80-year-olds on the trail, but that really gave me inspiration, and that's when I started hiking. But the long distance trails, they came a little bit later.
Yeah, I love hiking as well. I wish I could do more of that. So you have said hiking changed your life, and based on everything you shared, you love hiking, and
Yeah.
the first thing that you wanted to do was go on hike again. So what is it about hiking that you believe it has the superpower to reset people emotionally, mentally, or
Mm.
even spiritually?
Well, I mean, well, for starters, it's, being in nature is, it gives you a huge endorphin hit. But also, nature or the wilderness, it meets you exactly where you are. There's no judgment. It's not like you have to go into a gym or Pilates class or anything like that. You really are there. And, the only person who's judging you are leaves and trees and, I don't know, chipmunks or whatever. There's nothing. It's just yourself, and you can actually be yourself, which I think is really healthy for people to do every well, try and do that, because for years a lot of us are trying to be someone for everybody else, and it's just human nature. And I just feel that getting out into the wilderness, for me, I have pushed myself physically, I've pushed myself mentally, and psychologically and physically. And I just feel that having that adventure and being able to actually push yourself is something that once you've finished it, once you've done it, it's just a huge endorphin hit. It really is like, oh my gosh, I just climbed this mountain. Yes, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was absolutely, I wanted to turn around and go back so many times, but I didn't. And wow, look at this view. And, that can be proverbial, or it can be, it can be said in the literal sense, or the weather's absolutely foul, and but you need to keep going. Once you do get to a warm, dry space, it's just like, oh, I feel so much better. So the challenge, I think, as humans, when we overcome a challenge, it's just and a physical challenge, one where there's where it can't harm us emotionally. So a challenge. So I'm not talking about the life's challenges of, divorce, or losing a job or anything like that. They can actually be quite harmful. But I'm actually talking about challenges out in the wilderness. Climbing a mountain, or walking through driving rain to get to a nice hot spot to have a hot chocolate and get into dry clothes. Things like that can be very, very beneficial for your body and your mind. Yeah.
It's kind of like preparing yourself for the real challenge
Yeah.
when you go back to your day-to-day
Yeah.
life and know how to face that,
Yeah.
right? It's building your confidence, your resilience and your mindset. So yeah, I want to know, like, what was the biggest, the most difficult moment in your any of your hikes that you could remember that it's like you almost wanted to give out, and but you didn't.
um, okay, so probably probably so. There was a couple of days on the Larapinta Trail, which runs through Australia, and it's very steep. The inclines and the declines are pretty gnarly, and the weather it's right out in the desert in Australia's Red Centre. So, Australia's Red Centre is called the Red Centre not because it's hot, well, it does get hot there, but because of the red dirt. And the most iconic image of Australia's Red Centre would be Uluru or Ayers Rock. So, if anyone can imagine a picture of Ayers Rock in the middle of Australia, that's the Red Centre. And this hike actually runs about 200 kilometres away from Ayers Rock, or Uluru as it's correctly known. Now, so this particular trek it went on for, I think I took 14 days, and some of the inclines and declines on that were pretty gnarly. And I did it during COVID, so there weren't so many people on the trail, and I was by myself for quite a lot. There were a couple of days where I didn't even bump into anybody, but some of the hot days I had were just exhausting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get to the next stop because I need water. I need water. And then there was another one where it was still steep again, but the wind, it was this cold desert wind, because you could only do this particular hike in the middle of winter. And it was this cold desert wind, and I can remember thinking, oh my gosh, and I was going head first into the wind. And this particular hike, there's no getting off the trail. Oh, well, you can get off the trail, but you need someone to pick you up in a four-wheel drive. So there's no sort of, oh, I think I might give up now and just go to the pub and have a glass of wine. I mean, that was not an option at all. I couldn't do that until I finished the trail. Yeah.
I mean, thanks for sharing that story. For someone who is not a hiker or who is not into adventures, I'm just saying, maybe someone in the listening, in the audience, they might be saying, like, why would you put yourself through that? Because I remember when so the only thing that I can share is that, like, the only thing that I'm proud of in my life maybe is that I completed the Everest Base Camp track, right? And I remember one day I asked myself, why did I sign up for this? Like, why did I sign up for this? Why did I freaking sign up for this? Right? This is so difficult, and why am I doing this? Like, why did I put myself through this? So I think a lot of people also have the same questions, right? Why do you sign up for a hike? You know why? It's gonna be difficult. You know it. Why do you still go, right? So what advice would you have for people, or what would you tell people who is, having that doubt, or they're just not gonna do it?
So that's okay. If that is your mindset, that is totally okay. But find something else that you enjoy and something that might challenge you, and it can be sewing, it can be cooking, it can be literally anything. It can be just pick something that you really like to do. I'm a sew I sew as well, so I really enjoy doing really difficult things, and really pushing myself in that space, which is why I sort of said sewing. But it could be anything. It could be, if you like playing rugby or cricket or something like that. Train children in it or something. You'll be challenged then. But I think being able to challenge yourself in something, as it can also be in whatever space it is. It doesn't have to be physical, and it can be just something as simple as flower arranging or gardening or anything like that. Anything that you find joy in. There will be times during that you will be challenged, like even if it's just gardening, and one day you wake up and a whole lot of slugs have entered your garden and they're chewing away and munching away, and you have to get rid of them all and save your plants or something like that. There will always be, you won't look back on that. If you're an avid gardener, you won't look back on that as the worst day of your life. You'll go, oh my gosh, how good am I? I saved all my plants, and and you'll feel good about yourself. So it doesn't have to be something adventurous and active, but for me, that's what sort of rings my bell. But the other thing
Mm,
is I do encourage people to go out and see nature. I mean, there's so many beautiful parks all over the world. You don't have to go out into the wilderness. Just a botanical garden in a city can sometimes be absolutely beautiful. And all you need to do is to go out there and spend 30 minutes just away from other people and just enjoy the sense of the trees and the grass. Walk barefoot on the grass, feel the grass beneath your toes. It's all very grounding. Hmm.
yeah. But why did you do it? Like, what motivates you?
uh, I think I seriously don't know. It is just my happy place. It's
Mm,
it's just my happy place, and so I've actually found a happy place. But beyond that, I mean, for example, we're going to Greece to do 6 weeks hiking, leaving in a couple of days, and yes, I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're leaving in a couple of days. I haven't packed. I'm like, um, but for me, going on one of these hikes, I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to one, being on the trail, and the pushing myself and everything that comes with that. But I'm also really looking forward to walking into these remote small Greek villages and visiting a taverna, and having a spankanola, like having some Greek food. I'm really plate of olives and feta cheese and what have you. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to seeing other cultures. I love doing that, and so what I've managed to do is to incorporate my love of hiking into my love of travel as well. And when I first started out, most of my hikes were pure wilderness hiking, and now I'm based in the northern hemisphere. A lot of my hikes involve other cultures as well, whether or not it would be doing the Fisherman's Trail in Portugal, which sort of meanders through a whole lot of fishing villages, or even the Arctic Circle Trail that ran across the Arctic Circle in Greenland. I met indigenous people, and they were all ladies. They're so active. They're just hilarious. And I got they'd gift me sort of seal meat. Just they had a lot of dried meat on them, and that's what they would chew on the trail. And someone gave me seal meat, and somebody else gave me whale as well, because Greenlandics are they can actually take the whale. They've got to hunt it in the traditional way. They're not allowed to just run up to it with a gun or anything like that, and they wouldn't either. They're very, very respectful. But that was really interesting. That was just fantastic, because just meeting other people and meeting other cultures is something which I find fascinating, and I do get so much joy out of it.
yeah, wow, that's really. I mean, that's fascinating. I would love. Can you put me inside your backpack and just carry me around everywhere you go? I feel like I can fit into your backpack. Yeah. Um, but you often you talk a lot about confidence, and you say confidence grows through doing, because again, people who are listening to this episode because they want to learn how to become a better version of themselves, how to build their confidence and
Yeah.
things like that. And instead of just sitting at home and listening to podcasts talk about self-development, personal development, right, all these tools and
Right.
tips,
Yeah.
but without actually the action of doing it, without practicing it, it's not
Mm.
gonna grow your confidence, right? Why do you believe action is the real starting point for confidence building?
Well, I mean, it can be said for anything that you do in life. You've always heard about people go, oh my gosh, I could never stand on the stage and talk to a whole group of people. And the people who are good at it say the first thing you've got to do is get out there and do it. And then it's a lot easier. And it can be said for any skill that you have in life, whether that be driving a car, you might be absolutely scared to drive a car. Once you start driving and you get more confidence, the confidence actually comes after you start driving. It doesn't come, you're not really confident, you know exactly what you're doing before you start driving, right? You need to, you probably the first time, you're behind the wheel, you're probably very scared that it's going to take off in another direction, or you won't be able to stop it, or all sorts of things. And so it really is the fear of the unknown. And once you know about something, then your confidence grows. And a lot of people, like when I put that to my hiking, um, yes, I mean, I kind of went through a stage when I first started hiking. I was only doing day hikes, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I could ever do a multi-day hike. I mean, I could, but what does that mean? And I don't think I have the confidence for that. And then I had an opportunity to do a multi-day hike by myself, and I went ahead and did it. And I came back and I said, wow, I don't see what all the fuss was about. I got that's what was all the fuss about. And so I really do believe that with in life, everything we do, if we do something, if we make a start on, and it can be anything, a skill, a situation, the confidence will grow after you start. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
how can travel become, because you are a traveler, you are not just an adventurer but also a traveler, how can travel become a powerful tool for personal transformation rather than just a holiday? Because when people think about traveling, it's just like, yeah, it's a vacation, it's a way for me to
Mm.
escape my
Yeah.
current life.
Okay, so I mean, I've been traveling all my life since I was, well, not all of my life, but ever since I was 20. So for the last 40 years, I've done a lot of traveling. I did a lot of sort of backpacking when I was in my early 20s. I, worked in, I did voluntary work in Ladakh in northern India for 6 months. I did all sorts of, great stuff. And then I had a period where it was only corporate travel. And I am getting around to answering your question, just sorry, in a roundabout way. And I had a period of corporate travel where I was just, flying, flying in the nice part of the plane, staying in a nice hotel, a nice number of stars. and so and then that wasn't really travel. For that, I was had meetings, I had trade shows, all sorts of things, but it was still travel. It was still going to see other cultures and everything. But it wasn't until this period of my life that is very similar to the first stage of my traveling, where I actually go somewhere and to completely immerse myself in cultures. And a lot of people say, well, where do you get all your money to do what you're doing? Well, we live very frugally, but also during when we're not hiking, we house sit.
Mm,
So house sits is an amazing way to travel, where you can completely immerse yourself into a culture. So, for example, we had three back-to-back house sits in Spain. The first one was in Barcelona. The second one was right in the foothills in Aliazana, and the last one was in Nerja, which is down on the Algarve. And oh my gosh, we got to experience Spain in that 3 month period. We got to experience Spain by going to the local markets. We got to know the neighbors. We got to, we literally got to live like a local. And that was a huge transformation, because it no longer were we flying into somewhere, staying in a hotel with lots of other tourists, going to ticking off all the museums and art galleries and whatever else you need to sort of tick off, or going around in a tour group where you're only just with other people of your own nationality and language. So we literally were put ourselves right in a place where not everyone spoke English, and we had to live like a local, and it was amazing. It was just incredible. It was probably one of the best seasons of house sitting that I've had, is that time in Spain. But I've also done it in France and Germany, and all over USA and Canada, and also England and Scotland. Scotland is where we do it now. So travel is I think it's just so important when you do travel, and you know that's okay to take a tour, and it's okay to, you know, to just fly into a city and go and visit museums. But I think it's really important to not look for the top 10 restaurants that all the other tourists are go to, and go to somewhere local. You know, just you know, it's like the big hawker halls in Singapore.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's one of the best places in the world. You know, the big food halls that I was talking about, you know, to you about. That's one of the best places in the world to, you know, to eat. And a Singaporean friend told me about Hainan chicken.
Uh-huh.
Hainan chicken is one of my favorite chickens. There's a small place that she told me to go to, and you know, and I've been there 3 times, and I've never seen another foreigner
I need
there
to
at
know
all.
where.
And but yeah, so I just think it's, you know, it's very important to look around you and learn from other people, and that's one of the things I like about when we are hiking, you know, through, especially through Europe. It's places like Turkey and also parts of Portugal where we were going through farms, you know, through the countryside and going through farms where people are farming in a sustenance way that is very similar to what they would have done years and years ago. It's not all necessarily all high tech. You know, you see a donkey with a cart, you know,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, and that's really neat. You know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess it really changes your perspective, or how you see things
Mm,
when you're back to your hometown, or back to your workplace, right? You see things completely from a
mm,
different lens now. You become more grateful,
mm.
perhaps, right? Speaking of which,
Yeah,
based on my research, you work on the clean water projects in Africa as well. I want to talk to you about
yeah,
that because I believe that will be considered life changing, for you as well.
yeah.
What was the most humbling or life changing or perspective changing moment you experienced over there, working on the project, witnessing the daily realities of the people, the locals over there?
Yeah. So one of the problems with there's I've done it in 2 countries. So one was Malawi and the other one was Zambia. And there's one area in Zambia where I've put two of them in, and all the latrines in the toilets in the area. They had drilled down for the toilets at the same level or very close to the water, to the underground, to the water underground. So all the water became contaminated, and that results in cholera. You know, so you know, and that's how cholera sort of happens. And so these poor people, they couldn't drink the local water. They couldn't. The men were no longer allowed to fish in the local lake because that was infected with cholera, infected with, you know, the sewage and causing, you know, huge problems. So people were dying and all sorts of things. So the men had to go into the city to try and find work and then send it back to feed their families, send the money back. And so everything was left to the women you know, back in these villages to survive. You know, and horribly, but some men never came back. You know, some men sort of succumbed to whatever they, you know, happened in the city. And so these women would walk for, you know, a couple of hours each day to get water for the you know, for the family. And I look at how much water I use on a daily basis when I'm hiking. So I'm drinking water. I need water when I camp, for to hydrate myself, for breakfast, to wash myself, all sorts of things like this. And so these women were not only getting water for themselves, but for the rest of their family. And, you know, they might have 5 children. So that to me was, it was very, very humbling. It was just, you know, we as Westerners, we just probably wouldn't do that. It's just so much easier for us to pick up the phone and, you know, scream and shout at some person in the local water authority, like, what's wrong with my water? And you know, and but when these women just had to, it was like, well, if we don't, we're going to die. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah,
Mm, right. It's all about taking your own responsibility for what is happening
yeah,
in your life
yeah,
instead of being the victim. You actually do
mm,
something about it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful. So yeah, I want to go back to the house sitting thing because for example, for someone, I don't know, like where do we even start? Let's say, I was just sharing with you that I am interested in house sitting. I have done a bit of research, look at some sites, but it didn't happen. Eventually I didn't go on any house sitting, and I just
Yeah,
drop out completely.
yeah.
So what is this house sitting collective that you have created? Like, how do you help others to do house sitting around the world?
Okay. Well, I actually, it's actually a training module. So I train people how to write their profiles, how to use power words to get their get house sitters, homeowners to choose you over other people. So house sitting is growing hugely in popularity. Like it's growing at a rate of 12% per annum. So it's huge. But alongside the number of homeowners wanting someone to look after their pets, there's also people who are wanting to become homeowners because, house sitters, because it's free accommodation, it's holidays with free accommodation. So I just want to explain exactly what it is before I keep going, as some people might, this might be the first time they've heard of it. House sitting is when homeowners go away on holiday and they want someone to come into their home while they're away and look after their pets and their house. And it might be one cat, it might be a budgie, it might be two dogs, it might be six dogs. I don't normally take the sits with six dogs. I just like one dog or one cat or one cat and a dog. But there are some of them who have six dogs, and I'm like, oh, good luck on finding a sitter with that one. But and so they invite you to come into their home and look after their home and look after their dog or cat or whatever. In return, you get free accommodation and you get the use of their house. Now, the use of their house is actually quite valuable, because if you went to stay in any Airbnb or anything all over the world, you might have a saucepan, you might have a chopping board, you'll probably have a very blunt knife, and that's about it. Whereas normally the houses that I go to, and I stay in some absolutely beautiful houses all over the world, they have a full kitchen, and
Mm.
that's amazing to be able to cook out of a full kitchen. But the other thing is it's such a cost saver. It really is. I mean, when you go away on holiday, your biggest expenses are accommodation and food. Okay, so let's face it, when you're going away on holiday, you have a list of restaurants that you want to go to, or that you need to go to, because everyone needs to eat. And suddenly you're looking at your credit card going, oh my god, did I really spend that much money on this holiday? And you sort of come home and you're just twice as stressed. But with house sitting, you can actually buy your food. Yeah, of course, you can go out and spend and eat at restaurants if you want, but you can go to the local market, as we used to do in Spain, and come back with all this really, really yummy food and cook it at home. And that can be, really good. And it's really good, especially for people with dietary restrictions as well. If you're if you have severe allergies, or you're a vegan or anything like that, it can be actually quite hard finding somewhere to eat, especially in a city where you don't know. I mean, there's apps and everything, but you're quite restricted. And for some reason, vegan restaurants are extremely expensive for what they are. I mean, there's basically just vegetables, right?
Oh,
and but yeah, and also it's really good for solo travelers as well. So a lot of women, they want to go away on holiday, but they don't want to go. They're not comfortable going by themselves. One, because the hotel is going to be expensive, because they might have to pay single supplement, but also they have to sit at a restaurant table by themselves. And I've done years and years of that when I was in corporate travel, sitting at restaurant tables by myself. And
yeah.
it's okay, but it's not as good as grabbing a nice meal, eating it, and then walking into the lounge room in front of a nice roaring fire with your glass of wine, and having a nice cat jump on your lap and stroke the cat, glass of wine, movie on TV. I mean, you can't get much better than that, right?
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
So is that so every time when you go, let's say, your upcoming trips, which is happening in a couple of days, like, Greece, are you doing any house sitting over there?
No, we're not. We're
Okay.
only going for hiking, and but we have actually done house sitting in places that we've hiked in before. We now have a regular house sit in Scotland. It's a 300-year-old mill, which is being converted inside.
Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh, it is just incredibly beautiful, and it's out in the country, and so we house sit for these people 4 times a year, so for a month, and that is where our house sitting is. We've just done a few other house sits recently that we've picked up because we weren't they didn't end up going away because of the recent trouble in Dubai, well, in the
Middle
UAE,
East.
sorry, in the Middle East, yes. And so they didn't end up going away. So we ended up picking up a couple of other house sits around Scotland. And right now I'm in the base of the Cairngorms in a beautiful log cabin. Yesterday it was snowing and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So this is where we are at the moment, looking after a gorgeous cocker spaniel, and we've got chickens out scratching around in the snow, and yeah, it's really nice. Fresh eggs every day. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that sounds like a dream.
And people sort of say, well, I don't understand how all this works. Well, I do have, I have a lot of information on my
Mhm.
site as well, but there are apps that you can go on and then you can apply for the house sit. But I do run courses where I teach you how to write your profile properly, and I also teach you how to what to do, how to do the meet and greet, how to conduct yourself during the house sit, how to leave, all sorts of things, which will give you 5-star reviews, because the 5-star reviews is the most important thing, because that means that you'll get chosen over other house sitters, and that's what I teach. But I also teach you how to find them as well, and how to position yourself so you're ahead of everybody else, which is really important, right? Especially when it's a competitive space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if, for someone like me who have zero experience in house sitting, wouldn't they choose someone with experience over me? I mean, for sure.
Uh, well, a lot of people don't realize it, but they've got transferable skills. So, for example, you might have admin or nursing, or you might be a teacher, or
Podcaster.
I was speaking to some. Podcaster, yes. Okay, so you're used to dealing with people, but there's a way to get experience, and it's called the weekend sit hack. So what you can do is there's a lot of people that go away for the weekend, and it's quite hard to find somebody to fill in those for those sets,
Right.
because experienced sitters like myself, we don't really want 2 days. We want
Mm.
minimum 1 week, usually 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And so the small sets, which are just over a weekend, are quite easy to pick up. And all you need to do is pick up a couple of those, and then you can get reviews, and then you're on your way. Yeah. So that's a little hack that I have in one of my courses. Yeah.
Thank
Mm.
you for that tips. I mean, I'm gonna keep it for myself. Yeah, yeah, I don't have to travel to anywhere else to do the house sit, right? I'm sure in Singapore there are plenty. I think there is like house sitting opportunities over
Yeah.
here, which I can do just for a weekend.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
exactly. Yeah, and then once you've done that, I have seen them. I have seen them in Thailand. I've seen them in Bangkok. I've seen them all over Australia and also America, Canada. There's heaps in America. There's so many, and also throughout Europe. There's many. It's just exploded in popularity, and I really do encourage people, if they're wanting to go away, and they don't have the budget, or they're wanting to go away and they're just realizing, actually, don't have to spend my money. I'm saving up for a house, and I don't have to spend my money on the hot accommodation. But the other thing is, if somebody's suffering from anxiety or stress, or even depression, being around pets is a huge health benefit. When you actually stroke a pet, it releases oxytocin, which is your love and happiness hormone, and so you get this huge hit of oxytocin, but it also lowers cortisol, so your stress levels lower as well. And there's a lot of other benefits for house sitting as well. Like if you are looking after a dog, you need to actually feed the dog and maybe take it for a walk, so suddenly you can put yourself into a routine instead of endlessly scrolling on social media as soon as you wake up and suddenly it's 11 a.m. And that's, and so but having to do something like that is suddenly it puts your life into perspective. It really does. And as I said, it's a great way to travel, especially if you're a solo person as well. It's amazing. And well, like me, early retirement. I mean, this is the way that we travel, and it's great. One day we will go back to Australia for our, and we go back to our real homes, when we have grandchildren, and that's fine. And until then, we're just enjoying our lives.
Wow, yeah, that's really like a dream for a lot of people. Thank you so much, Belinda,
Yeah.
for your generous sharing. Is there anything else that you perhaps really want to talk about, but I didn't ask you or didn't let you?
No, no, I don't really have anything at this point in time, I don't think. I think I've covered everything, but I can give a discount to all of your listeners for the House Sitting Collective if anybody is interested. So there's a 10% discount. The code is HS Travel. So that's H for house, S for sitting, travel, and that's all lowercase. So, yes, so that can be in the show notes. And if anybody is interested in hiking, I do have a free resource on my website, Soul Treader, which is health and safety on the trail, and it's a great resource. It's free. It's all about what to do, what not to do, how to look for make sure you're not dehydrated, all sorts of things. I cover everything from sunburn to hypothermia to how to sort of look after yourself when it's when you feel sick, and what the health bit, what how to do it in a healthy and safe way. So yeah, and that's a great free resource on my website.
Awesome. Yes, I will put all the resources that you mentioned and the promo code. Thank you. And I wish you all the best for your upcoming hike to Greece. I can't wait to hear. Or, is there anywhere that our listeners can connect with you so that are you a social media person that
um
you share on
yes.
stories on?
Yes, so I gave myself a good New Year's resolution, that I know it's a little bit after New Year's at the moment, that I would be very good on the social media, because I haven't actually been that good over the last year. We just get so busy on our hikes, but we're also launching our YouTube channel as well. So my partner and I will be putting all of our hikes on YouTube. Yes, I mean, we are slightly older, so hopefully some people do find us interesting. We're not, young 20-year-olds. So, but I don't know. Maybe they will.
No, I think
Yeah,
you'll attract a different market. You'll attract
yeah,
people like my parents,
yeah.
or my I mean that because when they look at younger people, that's what they say. They are young, they can do. I'm too old for that shit, right?
Yeah,
But when they look at you and your partner, they'll be like, "Oh my god, if they can do it, I can do it too."
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I love that. And let me know. So I'm gonna force my parents to watch your video
Oh,
and follow.
oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And guys, if you want to follow Belinda's adventures, or learn how to do house sit, or if you are interested in any of her journey, I put all her links and website and resources in the show note below. Make sure you check it out and give her a follow. And make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you'll never miss another episode coming to you every Wednesday. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you again for tuning into Find Joy Joyan podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and take Find Joy Joyan _podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.